Hello, welcome to Spirituality Simplified. I hope that all of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. All of my United States listeners, I hope that you had some time off and had a really nice time spending time, hopefully with some family. I know that this year was a little bit challenging and different, so hopefully you got to spend some time with some loved ones. I had a really nice time. I took the whole week off. I just needed some rest and relaxation, and I got that. So now I'm so excited. I missed you guys so much. I will say it was really nice to have a break, but I'm really excited to be back. And today I'm excited to talk about our topic of oracle cards. So, um, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I've got all my decks, not all of them, but quite a few of the decks that I've collected over the years. I love them. So I have quite a few to show. So I was just going to mention too that if you're listening to this podcast, you may want to check out the YouTube channel and watch this one just because it's a little more visual. I'll try to do a good job of explaining as I'm going. But I will kind of show you some decks and some cards, and you can kind of see what I'm doing in terms of shuffling and all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, just wanted to mention that. But I'm really excited about this topic because this is something that I get asked about all the time. And I work with my clients and helping them to work with oracle cards. They're so easy, they're really fun, they're beautiful. And they're inexpensive. You can buy a ton of them, and it's not that bad. I mean, some of them are more expensive than others, but for the most part, you can get some really nice decks for probably under $20. So this is a great way to tap into your intuition, connect with your true self, connect with your guides and your angels. And so I just love oracle cards. And I know I mentioned them on the last episode, and that actually made me think. I was like, you know what? I need to do an episode on oracle cards because this is a big topic, and I know a lot of people are interested in it. And especially if you're just starting your spiritual journey, you're probably kind of curious about them. You maybe heard of oracle cards or tarot cards. There's all sorts of different tools that we'll talk about in a minute. But that is what we're going to be going over today. So let's just dive right in. So I wanted to first talk about, what are oracle cards? If you've never heard of them, or maybe you have heard of them, but you've never really known what they were. And I checked in with my guides, of course, before this episode, and I was led to talk about the actual origin of the word oracle. So I think, understanding what the word oracle means is going to help you understand what their function is and what their purpose is and how they can help you. So I looked up on Wikipedia, and according to Wikipedia, the word oracle comes from the Latin verb orare, I think I'm saying that correctly, which means to speak. And an oracle is a person or agency considered to provide wise and insightful counsel or prophetic predictions, most notably including precognition of the future, inspired by deities. As such, it is a form of divination. And then I want to talk about what divination means. You may have heard that, maybe not, but divination means the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. So essentially, kind of what all that means put together, an oracle is really just somebody or something that predicts the future. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about, right? There's a lot more to it, but that's kind of what the term oracle means. And when I think of oracle, I always think of the Oracle of Delphi. I don't know if you remember that from Greek mythology, but the Oracle of Delphi, she was a high priestess who was in the temple of Apollo. And she was known to speak prophecies or predictions. And so she was just this oracle that people went to seek guidance from. So that's, essentially what oracle cards are all about. We don't have the Oracle of Delphi, but today in our human modern world, we can use oracle cards that can help us to tap into our own intuition. So you don't need to go to somebody else. I mean, you can, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you can use these cards to help tap into your own true self, your own inner light, and receive the messages that you need for yourself. So they're pretty amazing, and they're so easy. And they don't just predict the future, which they can. You can ask questions about the future, but they also help you really in the present time, and I think that's what they're most useful for. And I think any kind of divination, whether you go see a psychic or you work with tools such as oracle cards or what have you, I always think it's best to really focus on the now and what you can do now, and make sure that your actions are aligned with your purpose. And then you don't have to worry about the future because once if you're on your right path, everything's going to fall into place and it's going to be great. But, that is so common. We are human. We are here to learn lessons and do things. So we are going to get off path and we're going to become unaligned. And that's what these cards can do, is kind of get you back on path and say, hey, this, if you continue down this path, this is what's going to happen. Either, you're on the right path, or, maybe you need to course correct. So they're a great tool in helping you live your best life. So, I mentioned divination tools. So, oracle cards are just one. There's so many different types of tools you can use. So there's tarot cards, or tarot, however you want to pronounce it. There's runes, a pendulum, you can use that. There's palm reading, astrology, numerology. I mean, all sorts of things that you've probably already been using or maybe heard of. And so, crystals too, those are all divination tools. And so basically these are tools to help you connect with your own spirit and, the supernatural world to help give you messages to keep you on your right path. Now, oracle cards, I feel like, are one of the most commonly used and easiest divination tools. So there's so many out there, and it's so fun to explore, and we'll probably go into a lot of these in this podcast, which I'm so excited about. But you can just start with oracle cards. They're such a great and gentle, easy, simple way to work with a divination tool to connect with your inner light and your true self. So, you'll also notice too, if you've ever been to a psychic and had a reading, they've probably used some divination tool. So most likely like tarot cards, or, oracle cards, or maybe a pendulum or something. These tools are going to help you find the information that you're seeking. And I mentioned before too, I work with my clients and helping them to read their own cards. So, we begin by, working with the cards, and I'll help them. But by the end of the program that I'm working with them, they're reading them on their own, and they don't need my help because they're going inward. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do. And that's what they're so great for. They're just magical. They're fun. They're beautiful. They're fun to work with. And again, this, my whole theme is just to tap into your inner child. That is what I'm trying to help people with, and what I'm working on personally, and what I think the collective really needs to work on. So you hear me say that a lot. Tapping into your inner child is so important, and this is a great way to do that because it's a form of play. Of course, you respect the cards and you take them seriously, but you want to have fun with them because they are magical, and they, give you so much cool information that you never would have probably come up with. You have to dig deep, and you're getting this guidance from your your spiritual support system. Like, it's so cool. It's fascinating. I still, to this day, am so fascinated and love working with them because the messages are just so amazing. I'm like, oh, yes, I get it. Okay, that's really good information. So, anyway, they're awesome. What I'd like to do first is talk about, how do oracle cards work? And I've kind of alluded to that already in talking about that. But essentially, oracle cards, they're working with your own energy and your spiritual support system of your spirit guides and your angels and your ancestors. And you're working with your energy and your spiritual support system to help communicate with you, essentially. You know, they can help to tap into this knowledge and this information that's already within you. That's what's so cool. That's what's the beauty of it. It's already there. It's just kind of helping bring that to the surface for you. It's helping to bring it into your awareness. Um, and the messages in these cards are amazing. They can help give you a new perspective on a situation that you're dealing with, and it helps show you the higher purpose. And when you understand the higher purpose and those messages, it can bring such clarity and comfort. And that's really healing in and of itself, right there. When you just have that clarity and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. I know the higher purpose. I can deal with this situation, or I know how to move forward. So it's so healing. They're so great for that. And, especially if you're new to, connecting with spirit, maybe you're newer and you're having a hard time trying to figure out, how they're communicating with you. Everybody's different, right? We've talked about this in past episodes that, spirit's going to communicate with each person differently. So your guides may communicate with you through, your audio. You may hear the messages. You might feel it, feel some like bodily sensations such as tingling. You might smell something. So it's just using all the different senses. And you may have one or more, or everybody is different again. But in the beginning, you have to practice. You kind of have to learn and figure this out. And if you're having a hard time, maybe try using some oracle cards. Bring those in. They can really help you to learn how this information is coming in. When you're looking at a card, what comes first? Is it something you hear? Is it something you feel? So you start to really pay attention to, how that information is coming to you. And that's going to help you in the future when you're in meditations and, you're trying to connect with your true self to obtain information. And again, the more you work with them, the more in tune you're going to become with your own intuition. So they're really cool. It's a really great tool. I have an example. So I did work, I had a client and she was having a hard time figuring out the next steps in her career. She was kind of waffling between different paths and just didn't know. She was confused. She didn't really know exactly what the best path that was aligned with her was. And so at the end of each session, we would pull a card. And, she would pick the deck and whatever she felt called to. And, at first I would kind of, work with the cards and shuffle them out and she would pick them. And, I would help deliver whatever messages that I received, from spirit, my guides, her guides. And then ask her what she, if that resonated with her, if something else came up. And by the end of the program, I was completely out of this. I mean, she just took the reins and she shuffled her own cards and picked her own and received her own messages that were coming through and didn't need me anymore, which was awesome. It's so rewarding to watch people experience the fun and excitement and the ahas and seeing her connect immediately with her intuition. She didn't need me anymore. She knew she could hear those messages coming through. And she knew, what her true self was trying to tell her, and I can help and work with people, but it's always the information you always go with is whatever your true self is telling you. So it's so important to always go inward. And we'll talk about that too with these cards. They come with meanings, but I always encourage people to go into their intuition first and see what pops up first, and then read the card or the information booklet and to see what the meaning is, and see what resonates with the meaning as well. So it's a really cool experience. My clients like working with them. People are curious about it. It's such a fun thing to do. It's interactive. And it's a great way to every day, if you want to start to connect with your intuition, just start working with cards. Pull one every single day. So let's talk about, how do you use oracle cards? This is the meat, right? This is what everybody wants to know. And again, this is just kind of what I've learned, what I've been taught, what I've kind of my own process and style. And as you start to work with your own cards, you're going to come up with your own process, and you just do whatever feels good for you. You do with whatever resonates to you. So just wanted to keep that in mind as you're listening to this. This is just a good general basic framework to follow. But again, there's lots of information, and there's certain areas that you want more information on. Feel free to do some more research on that and see what resonates. Okay, so the first step, you gotta purchase a deck. And if you're not wanting to go to a metaphysical store in your area, you can Google them. You can look on Amazon. Just Google Oracle decks, and there are thousands out there. There's so many. So you can I just recommend that you go with whatever resonates the most with you, whatever you're drawn to the most. Just start with that deck. Nothing too complicated. That's what's so great about oracle cards. They're not complicated. They're not difficult to use. Tarot gets a little more complex. I mean, it's amazing. Tarot cards are really, really fascinating and very cool in and of themselves. And so we're going to have a whole separate episode on that. But with oracle cards, there's just so many cool different ones. So there's something for everybody, basically. And, for example, I'm going to show you some of the ones I have. So I have like this Kuan Yin oracle deck, which is Kuan Yin's the goddess of compassion. I work with her when I do Reiki. I have these butterfly for life changes oracle cards. And these are great if you're going through a change, and it can kind of give you some information. When I was doing career coaching, I actually worked with these soul coaching cards, which are kind of cool. And I'll put the list of these in the show description for you. And of course, I've used these numerology cards on here before. Crystal cards, there's moonology, there's all sorts of really cool things. They kind of all have their own theme. So they might have, they might be angel cards, or they might be messages from animal spirits, or, like this one is angel meditations. Like and this one, I love this one. This one is super cute. It's called Spirit Cats. So, I love kitties. I'm the crazy cat lady. So of course I had to get a cat deck. These are really cute though. So it just depends on your mood. That's why I always have like a couple to choose from, because some days I'm like, I just want a cute little cat card to tell me something sweet. So, but again, just all you need is one to start out with. Just keep it simple, right? And just whatever is speaking to you at that moment. Now, the process that I recommend, and this is something I recommend before doing, any kind of meditation, divination, spiritual work, is to really ground and clear yourself and your space that you're working in. So, some people really love the ritual aspect. I kind of like it too, but some people are very, very strict about that. So it's whatever feels good for you. If you like to go into the same space or same room, You like to maybe light a candle or maybe put on some, incense, diffuse some essential oils, pick out some crystals, maybe play some kind of soft meditation type instrumental music or whatever is great for you. You kind of have your own thing that you'll figure out. But that might be something to kind of a way to get prepared and get into a nice grounded, connected space. And you may want to, clear your space energetically or, use some sage and, cleanse it with some sage smoke just to kind of cleanse the room and your energy field, just to, cleanse everything, all the negative energies out there. And you may want to do this after your session as well. And, you might want to do kind of a short meditation to really ground yourself and connect to spirit. So all you need to do is just, close your eyes. You can take a few deep breaths and really just imagine Earth's energy, her grounding energy coming up from her core and filling your entire body and helping to keep you connected to your body and to the earth. And then you can imagine your light from source, coming down into your crown chakra at the top of your head and filling your body with divine white light as well. And imagine this white light that just spills out of your body into your entire aura and your energetic field, and really creating this bubble of white, divine, protective light around you and just keeping you safe and protected and high vibrational. So again, this is very personal. You can do whatever ritual meditation that you resonate with. This is just kind of an example of a really short one that you can do just to get yourself prepared. And of course, you can always, at this time too, invite your spirit guides and your angels and your true self, to come in and to help you and to connect with you and give you that guidance and love and support and protection that you need during your reading. So once you've kind of grounded and cleared yourself and kind of gotten into that meditative space, you're going to first want to clear your deck. And this is, is really important when you first buy a deck. And you'll want to do this every couple of weeks, of course. But, the first time you take it out of the package and everything, it's really important to energetically clear your deck. And if you think about it, it was, manufactured probably in some plant somewhere. It was distributed, it was, put in the store. And so by the time it gets to your house, it's probably been handled by quite a few people and been in different locations. So it's probably picked up some energies. So you'll want to clear those out to make sure that you're only connecting with your own energies. And so you can do this, just ask your guides. You can ask God, the divine, whatever higher power you believe in, to cleanse the cards of any previous or negative energies. And I like to visualize the cards, kind of what I call a card wash instead of a car wash, get it? I know, I'm a total dork. But I like to visualize them kind of going through this card wash and just really getting a good cleansing as I'm asking and setting that intention that all of those previous energies get cleared out. And again, this you can just do what resonates for you. It's just an example. Now, another way too that I learned, and I do this, I kind of do this every time I use my cards. Just, as I get them out, I'm just going to pick these soul coaching cards to show you. So you take them out of the box and you're holding them. And you can make a fist and you knock on them 3 times. And as you're knocking and you're setting that intention that as this knocking is just going to clear out any previous energies from the cards. So that's super easy and simple. And I tend to do that a lot because it's really easy. And I feel like it just really gets those energies out. Now, you may also want to sage your cards. So you can light some sage and then just kind of, put it all around the smoke, all around the cards, and setting your intention, saying a prayer or what have you to clear those cards. So that's another way that you can do it. Again, there's lots of different ways, but these are just a couple of examples that are pretty easy. Now, you may wish to, or you may want to cleanse your cards more frequently if you are, letting other people work with them. So, you'll hear lots of different opinions on letting people work with your cards. I know that with me, I have two tarot decks. I have one that only works with me, and then I have one that I work with my clients. And I, of course, clear after every time a client works with them to clear their energies out so that the next client can work with them. So you'll definitely want to do it more frequently if you are letting other people use your cards, or you don't have to, and you can just say, nope, sorry. But if you're the only one using them, maybe just whenever you feel like you need to, you'll feel called to, and you'll know. Or you can just do it every couple of weeks, or whatever feels right for you. But that's important to clear your deck. Just like anything, crystals, your space. There's everything is energy. We're all made up of energy. We pick up stuff all the time. Same with cards. They're pieces of cardboard or plastic or whatever, but they still have this amazing energy. So they're gonna be, it's just as important to cleanse those like you would take a shower, right? Okay, so once you've cleansed your cards, you want to start forming a connection with them. And of course, once you work with your cards, you'll get a really great connection. But when you first get a new deck, you want to kind of get familiarized with it and, get connected and get it connected with your energy. So there's a couple different ways that you can do that. Now, whenever I'm working with my cards, and this is actually, I do this every time I work with my cards. I say this one simple sentence. Sorry, I'm getting my cards out again. I don't know why I put them away in the first place. So, what you can do, and again, there's sometimes in the deck, in the little booklet that's contained when you get a new deck, it comes with this little white booklet that gives meanings and explanations. Sometimes they'll include, a sample prayer that you can say or a meditation that you can do. But a simple way, you can just, take your cards and just place them, on your heart and just say, God or whatever higher power you believe in, I ask that all the answers that come from this deck come from my true self only, and serve my greatest and highest good. And that's it. So it's connecting to your energy, and it's ensuring and setting that intention that the answers that are coming from these cards, they're coming from your true self, your inner light, your soul, and that they're going to serve your greatest and highest good, because that's really important. You want to make sure to say that statement. So again, you can do something a little more in depth when you first get your cards, but that's just a simple statement that I say before every single time before I use my cards. Now, you can kind of lay them out and, turn them all over and kind of maybe just spread them out on the floor and really just kind of look at all of them as a whole. And see which ones pop out more to you. What kind of feelings come up when you look at those cards? Do you have, some favorite cards? Do you have ones that you're like, whew, that feels kind of weird? Like what questions come up? So you can do that. That's a great way. You can also do like a one card study where every day you pull a different card. And you really just study that one card. I mean, you look at it, you look at the symbolism, the colors, the pictures, the words, really study what your first impressions are, because that's your intuition talking. And that's going to be really important. And then, of course, you can read about it and then just really get a good feel and go through them all. That's a great way to get to know and connect with your cards. Um, and of course, the more you work with them, I mean, the more you touch them and feel them and, you know, just really and ask questions and all of that, that the more you do that, the stronger your connection is going to be. So just keep working with them. That's my best advice for that. Okay, so you've cleared your cards, you've connected with them. They're coming from your true self, your greatest and highest good, all that good stuff, right? So now you're ready to ask your question. So you may wonder, okay, what kind of questions can I ask? And really, the world is your oyster. You can ask whatever you need help with. They can be really specific, which is always going to be probably the best just because you'll get the more specific answer that you're looking for, but you can be general too. Some examples, and this is something that I ask every day is, what do I need to know today? That's a great way to start. Just a simple, easy question that your true self and your soul is going to tell you exactly what you need. And it's probably going to be something you didn't even think about because it's your subconscious, right? So you can ask questions such as, is this job offer optimal for me to take? Or, is this location, this city, is this aligned with me? Like, is this a good place to move to, for me? And again, what I always recommend too is you probably want to avoid questions such as should I or could I, would I, those kinds of questions get a little bit, they're not going to give you the best, most clear answer because, yeah, sure, you could, right? Like, you can do anything. What you want to rephrase it more like, is it optimal for me to do X? Or what is the most optimal blank? So it's really most like, it's trying to, what is the most, what is most aligned with me? What's going to lead me to a life that I love? What is this aligned with me? That's the key. You want to make sure that the answers or the questions you're asking are going to give you answers that are aligned with you. So, yeah, sure, you could go, live in Dallas if you want, but is Dallas aligned with you? I mean, that's the question you want to know, right? Because that's, if you go and you move to a city that's not aligned, there could be, issues that you just may not be happy, all sorts of stuff. So that's really the goal. You want to make sure that whatever answers you're seeking, they're aligned with your purpose and your soul and who you are. And you can do yes or no questions with oracle cards. You're going to have to do a little bit of interpreting because you'll just have to get a feel for the tone of the card. So if the card tends to seem a little, I don't know, I don't want to say negative, but maybe not as like happy and joyful, then maybe that's a no, but if it's like, yes, you're great, blah, 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 like, I mean, that's a good indication. And we can maybe do an example. Maybe I'll do that in the Q&A next week in our Facebook group. But really just kind of just interpret it by the tone of the card and kind of see what comes up first, right? Okay, so you've thought of your question. Now you get to shuffle your cards. And there's no right or wrong way to shuffle. You can, and I'm showing on the YouTube here that I'm just kind of like shuffling. I'm just kind of mixing the cards up. Nothing exciting. It's just kind of just getting them all kind of mixed up. You can do like the cool shuffling that they do in Vegas, whatever. It depends on how, stiff your cards are and how big they are. Like, these are kind of big, but Um, some of them are a little bit smaller. And so you can do that. And as you're shuffling, think of your question that you want to know. You can repeat it out loud. You can repeat it in your mind. But really just focus on that question that you want to know. Okay, so once you feel like you've got, the cards are really good and shuffled and you feel like you've got your question in, now you get to pick your cards, right? One or more. So there's a couple of ways too that you can do this. This is something that you can practice and see what resonates with you. You can, like I was just doing, you can, shuffle them, and then let's say you want to cut the deck in half, and then you place it on top like that, and then you just pick the top card. That's one way. You can shuffle them and then just, lay them all out and just pick one that you resonate the most with, or that's kind of calling you or you're drawn to. Now, what I like to do, this is my favorite way, and I was just kind of showing on the YouTube here, is that, I'm just kind of shuffling like this, and I just, wait until one of them, oops, had a couple pop out. That might happen, but one of them just kind of pops out. And I set that intention as I'm shuffling and I'm asking my question. I'm like, just let the card pop out and fall out. And that's the one. Yep, there we go. So this is the one that is my card. And these are called jumpers. So it's something you want to pay attention to. So even if you're doing another one of these shuffling methods or picking methods, if one of these cards kind of pops out and falls on the floor, definitely pick that up. It's your true self trying to tell you something, and that's a message that you need to hear. So I like this method personally because it kind of takes your ego out of it. Like if you have a bunch of cards laid out, you start second guessing and you're like, I don't know, should I pick this one? Is this the right one? This just lets your, energy just do it. It picks it for you. You don't have to stress about it. That's the one. So that's my personal favorite, but a lot of people like to do different ways. So you'll find what works best for you. Okay, so you've picked your card, right? Now is the fun part. You get to interpret the meaning of the card. So what I recommend is, flip the card over and really kind of just study it. Just look at it first. See like what the colors are, see what the image is. Sometimes they have words, sometimes they don't. Maybe this one has an affirmation, and see what kind of feelings and thoughts pop up immediately for you. Like, what do you think this card means to you? What's immediately coming into your awareness? And maybe write that down. And then you can look inside. Let's see. I was just holding it. Okay. Sometimes you'll have like a little white booklet that comes with your deck. Sometimes like this one has a nice pretty book, and it has, these meanings for all of these cards. So I definitely recommend just kind of going inward first to see what comes to you, and then use the book and look up what that meaning is. And there might be several different meanings that are explained. So I would read them all and say, you know what, that one resonates with me. That's what I think this means, and you can ask your true self and your guides and your angels, be like, is this the meaning that I am supposed to interpret from this card? So, and after reading the booklet too, what feelings pop up then? Maybe there's new feelings, maybe things, and sometimes I will tell you, you kind of have to sit on them. I have noticed this with my own work. If I pull some cards, I like to sit on them for at least a couple of days, because stuff will come in, like some ahas and inspiration. I'll be like, oh, I get it. That's what that card was all about. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So, think about it. Kind of like marinate a little bit, meditate, and come back to it. And I will guarantee you probably have something come up. It could be 2 days later or 2 weeks later, or who knows. But a lot of times stuff will come into your awareness when you're not even expecting it. So, take some time to really kind of study it, especially if it's, something kind of a deep question that's important that you're wanting to know. Um, and let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much it for the cards. But again, I always tell people, like, just have fun with it. Even if you get a card where you're like, I wonder what that means. And actually, the last episode, I think I had that situation when I pulled that pride card, because my first reaction was like, oh, pride. What is that? Pride isn't always a bad thing, but like that kind of came to me as something maybe that we all needed to work on, including myself. So, but after really thinking about it and asking my guides and getting more into it, the meaning was amazing. And I felt so much better. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. This is great advice. And this is going to help me live the life that I love. So that's the kind of the attitude that you can, and maybe that, that's how you can go into working with the cards. Just keep an open mind, have fun, keep it light and simple and playful. But really, take to heart and think about what the message is and think about what your true self's really trying to tell you. And then, of course, once you're done with your cards, you can put them back in the box and, put them on a nice shelf or, caring for your cards. You can keep them in the box. That's fine. I mean, I have so many, as you can see here. But, you may have one special deck that really means a lot to you, and you may want to buy a little bag or maybe put it in a special box that means something to you. It's personal. I have, for my tarot deck, I have this velvet purple bag that I put it in because I like to put a quartz crystal and some sage leaves in there to keep it cleansed while I'm not using it. So that's something that you might want to do as well. So it's a little easier to do that when you have them in a bag versus the box that it typically comes in. So that's just a couple of ideas. Now, another question that I get is, how many cards do you pull? That's a great question. And there's so many different options and things that you can do. And this is where I really encourage you to explore and play and do some research because it's really fun. Like I mentioned before, you can just pull one card. That's all you need. You can get a lot of information from one card. And, like I said too, maybe that's how you start. Like maybe every morning you start off, you pull one card and ask, what do I need to know today? That's a great starter question, a great way to tap into your intuition and sets the tone for your day. Now you can do 3 cards. It's called 3-card spread. And you can do like a past, present, future. That would be really cool. Those give a lot of really good insights. And you can also do a larger spread. So what a spread means, it's usually, multiple cards. They're kind of laid out and sometimes like with tarot, there's different, like formations that it looks like there's a Celtic cross. It kind of looks like a Celtic cross, the way you put the cards down. But with oracle cards, for the most part, you just kind of lay them out. And depending on, the spread, but they're gonna, if you want more kind of deeper answer to a question, or maybe it's something general, you might want to do a multi-card spread. And, for example, so my birthday was a couple of days ago. It was on Monday, and I was like, you know what, I want to do a birthday spread to see what my next year is going to be looking like and what I need to know coming up over the next 12 months. So I did 12 cards that were laid out, and, I looked at each card represented a different question, right? So as I was, shuffling and thinking of a question, I would, think of one such as, what are my goals for the next 12 months. And then I'd pull a card and put it down. The next question, what's the biggest lesson that I'm going to learn over the next year? Pull a card, etc. So I had 12 different questions. So they're kind of laid out, right? So I looked at each one individually and, wrote down what messages were coming through to me. And then I actually looked in the booklet to see what the meaning was and wrote that down as well, so that I had a good feeling for, okay, this is what this card is trying to tell me. This is what my true self is trying to tell me to prepare for my next year. So, that was a bigger spread, and but it was so cool because it kind of gave this big picture of what to expect and what I can do, and maybe some pitfalls I could be going up against, and what I can do to work through those. And so it was really, really cool. And I just Googled it. I mean, I just looked up birthday spread, birthday oracle card spread. That's pretty much all, birthday tarot spread, whatever you want to look up. And it can be any kind of topic. It can be, I want to do a career spread or a love spread, or, maybe just whatever question you have, you can just lay out a bunch of cards. And it's really cool because where they're positioned, the different messages kind of work together to give you that big picture. So it gives you a more in-depth answer. But again, you can get a lot of information just from one card. But if you have time and you want to explore, yes, I totally encourage you to look up some spreads. They're really, really cool. And I will tell you, most of these decks that you get inside the booklet, they offer different suggestions on spreads you can do with that particular deck. So I definitely would look into those. That's a great place. If you've never done a spread, look into the little booklet first and see what they recommend. Okay, so again, I just want to remind you, have fun, explore, and really tap into your intuition, your inner child. It's going to be really great. And, I will say a lot of people have fear around oracle cards, tarot cards, any kind of divination tool. And that's really common. It's, I have that. I mean, I tell you, sometimes I look at cards and I'm like, ugh, what does that mean? At first glance, your ego comes in, is like, oh, we don't like that card. But, and not all cards give great news. They don't. But there's such a great purpose for these cards. And it's so great. And the way that I tell people to kind of help them get over this fear, and this is what helped me when I first started working with them, is I looked at it from a different perspective. I was like, okay, this card isn't giving me bad news. It's giving me kind of a warning, or a heads up. Hey, if you continue down this path, this is what could potentially happen. And so it's such great information. It's such a great way to help you to get back on the right path. Because when you pull a card, it is reading your current energy. So it's kind of reading where you are at this very moment. So you can completely, you can course correct, you can change your path, you can change your actions to avoid any pitfalls if necessary. So even though these messages may sound scary at first, they're really just giving you that heads up that, if you continue down this path, then you could experience some bumps in the road. So, and again, the good news is you have the power to make the changes you need to avoid this obstacle. That's what's so great. Your soul and your spirit guides and your angels, they all want you on the right path. And they want you to be aligned with your purpose and your mission here on this lifetime. And these oracle cards are the way that they can help kind of communicate with you and keep you on that right path. My guides actually gave me kind of a good analogy. It's kind of like your life path's navigation system that's talking to you, right? So they either let you know, like, hey, good job, you're on the right path, keep on this road for the next 100 miles, right? Or they might be like, oh, heads up, you're about to hit some major traffic that's, occurring from construction in the road. So take a left to avoid this delay. Like that's exactly what these cards are helping you to do. It's your own personal navigation system. And you know, these readings again, they're based on your current energy. So, if you start freaking out, let's say you get, something that's a little bit, I'm not sure about this card. Don't worry, you can change the outcome of this card. This isn't set in stone. This is again, it's just saying like, hey, this is kind of what's detected right now. So if you start kind of getting a little freaked out, fear's starting to come in, that's your ego. Just remember that. And you can just say, thank you, ego. I appreciate you looking out for me, but these cards are actually trying to help me avoid a potentially hairy situation. And, you can say, thank you for letting me know what I don't want to happen, right? So it's information. That's what this is. This is what that's giving you. It's like, oh yeah, that doesn't sound good. I don't think I want to do that. Thank you for letting me know. Now I can course correct and avoid that altogether. That sounds great. And then you can pull another card and figure out and ask what you need to do to avoid that situation from happening. So it's great. It's just there's so much great information. Personally, I would rather know ahead of time that, something's coming up so that I can make changes and I can avoid that. My view is knowledge is power. So just remember that. Like it's just kind of looking at it from a different perspective, and it's not a scary thing. It's information that is here to help you. It is your true self communicating with you. It's your spirit guides communicating with you and trying to get you back on that right path. So hopefully that helps kind of dispel any fears. And again, the more you work with them, the fears will go away. I promise. And, the one thing too that's really cool about this is, just something to remember, all the answers that we seek are right inside of us. They are right within us. And, our ego, unfortunately, we talked about this before in previous episodes, it has a purpose, but the ego comes in and, you start getting fears and judgments and anxieties and, external influences. That all gets in the way of you hearing and seeing these answers clearly. So if you have a question, you know what it is deep inside. But all this kind of external stuff gets in the way of really having that clarity and being able to, confidently know like, okay, this is the decision or this is the path that I need to take that's aligned with me. And a lot of times we don't want to know the truth, I mean, we know it deep down, but we don't want to know. We're scared of the truth or, and that's just human condition. And I always say the cards never lie. So, but that's a good thing. I mean, they're going to give you the truth that you need to hear. And it's just, again, it's all the higher purpose is just to help you live the best life that you can live. And, I'll tell you too, a lot of times the answers that come up are not what you expect. And, that's sometimes that's really your true self telling you, like, this is what's really going on here. You think this is what is happening, but the truth is this. So, again, that's your ego kind of telling you what you think it is, but your true self is really going to tell you the truth and what you need to hear. So again, I feel like oracle cards are so great. If you're starting out on your spiritual journey, you just started to awaken spiritually, and you're wanting to connect with your higher self and, your spirit guides and your spiritual support system, just give them a try. This is such a great way to, to tap into that. And, again, keep it light, keep it simple, right? That's always going to be my mantra, especially for this podcast. It's spirituality simplified. So I really wanted to just simplify these cards for you and just keep it simple. You don't have to make it complex. Start small. And as you get more comfortable with them and confident, you can start exploring into, different questions or different spreads. And it's really fun. Just have a really fun time with it. Explore that magic and the wonder of your own spirit, and of the whole spirit realm. I mean, this really helps you tap into that. And that's so cool. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be like, wow, I totally didn't get that. Like that makes sense. I feel so much better about making this decision now because I have this knowledge. I have this truth. That's power. Knowledge is power, right? And it's still like I said before, I get still excited to this day. I love it. I mean, I love talking about them. I love working with my clients. I love seeing the joy and the excitement on their face when they come up with their own ahas and when they discover like new truths about themselves and help get some clarity on their path. And it's so exciting. Like, this is such a great first step, and I really hope that you try and try it out and explore and give it a shot. And again, if it doesn't resonate and you buy a deck and you never pick it up again, there you go. Now you know, and that's cool. You may like some other tool better, and that's something that you will explore as you go down your spiritual journey. So again, I hope that this episode helps to ease any concerns or fears that you may have around, working with oracle cards. And I really hope that this inspires you to give them a try. And, this again is such a great way to tap into your inner child and, it's experience kind of that play and that magic and that wonder of exploring your own true self. It's magical. It really is. It really is. It's very cool. So, of course, if you have any questions, definitely join the Spirituality Simplified Facebook community. I started a group so that we could interact and connect with each other and talk about the topics in the episodes. And every Wednesday I do a live Q&A session about the previous week's episode. So I can answer any questions you have. So next Wednesday will be, I'll be answering questions about oracle cards. So if you have any questions, you can send them in. You can join live if you want. If you can't make it live, no worries. You can just send me your questions and I will answer them live, and you can watch it, whenever you want. It's always in there in the group. And I'm actually doing something kind of fun for next Wednesday. So in addition to answering any questions, I'll do some quick oracle card readings for you if you'd like. If you have a question, you can send that in to me and I can answer your question. I can keep it confidential. Just first name is fine. And again, this is just kind of a quick reading I can do for you. And so that'll be kind of fun. So, if you have to join the group and tune in next Wednesday to that Facebook live Q&A session. And again, if you can't make it live, no worries. You can always watch it later. So the link, if you want to join the group, it's facebook.com/groups/spirituality simplified podcast. I'll include that link in the show description as well so that you have that. And of course, don't forget to sign up for my mailing list. So if you go to my website, which is Soul Healing with Allie, it's ALI. Again, that link will also be in the show description. But if you go to my website, there's a blue box that will ask if you want to join the mailing list. So you just enter your name and email, and you'll automatically get a free blue light meditation that's amazing, and you can use that every day. And you also get access to my monthly Soul in One digest. And this is actually a really great time to sign up because I'll be sending out December's issue. I can't believe it's already December. I feel like I just wrote the November one. It's amazing. That's quantum time for you. But anyway, that's going to be out. The December issue will be out probably next week. So this is a great time. Sign up for that this week. And you'll get to receive all the goodies that come with that digest. There's meditations and messages from spirit and all sorts of cool stuff. So I think I'll probably do an oracle card reading too, kind of in the spirit of this podcast. But you never know what will come out. I connect with my Council of Light and see what everybody needs to know to really maximize December. It's the last month of 2020. Hooray. I know a lot of you are probably like, woohoo, excited about that. But there's, you can still maximize and have a great last month of the year. So definitely check that out on my website. And then, of course, while you're there, you can check out my program. I offer an 8-week program called Sound the Call of Your Soul. If you're interested in oracle cards, or if you're having a hard time tapping into your own intuition or trying to figure out that next step in your life, you're having a hard time figuring out what your soul purpose is, that's what this program is all about. It's going to help you to find that clarity that you need and that confidence to pursue those next steps in your life. So again, you can find more information on my website, and I'll include the link to the program on the show description as well. Okay, well, thank you so much. That's it for today. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope this was really fun for you. It was really fun for me. I was so excited to be back today, and this was a fun, cool topic. So remember to keep it spiritual, but keep it simple. Thanks, guys. See you next time.